Hello and welcome to Edinburgh for Reboot 2022. Let's go inside and have a look what's going on. So we are here in the heart of Reboot 2022, which will be happening on that stage behind me in just a few moments' time. Now, Reboot has been running since 2018, and this is all part of our commitment to build a modern engineering capability within Lloyds Banking Group.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Reboot in Edinburgh.
It's just great to see so many people back in the office after the hiatus over the last couple of years. Just wanted to say a very, very warm welcome to conventionally sunny Edinburgh.
The heart of today is about the hackathon. I'm delighted to be one of the hack judges.
I wanted to fit the brief about that inclusivity. Is it involving everybody and something that people would get value from, or is it for a niche audience? So that inclusivity is what I'm interested in.
Reboot 2022 is all about innovation, collaboration and experimentation, because coming together in an event like this is a really brilliant way to build skills and to help the bank prepare for the future. And nobody knows that better than our hackers. So let's go and have a little look at what's going on with them. Come on. I am here with Girls Just Want Functioning Code, and you are one of only two all-female teams.
We're working on basically a thing called Albi, which the idea is that it's an accessible local banking unit, and it will basically be a glorified ATM that you can do internet banking and all those kind of features for people who can no longer access the local branch.
I'm here with grad team number one. How have you found today? How have you found your experience?
It's been absolutely amazing. So the people here are just like all so knowledgeable. Like I've been able to speak to like so many different people today about, in particular like at this event, like cloud infrastructure is like the big push. I've been able to speak to the head cloud engineer at Lloyds and quite a number of people from Google.
So I'm incoming for September for the graduate cohort. So everything so far with interviews, whatever, has just been online, only meeting people online. But to actually get a taste for the event in person, for me has been probably the best part about today.
We have met some amazing people. The hackers are really working hard. There's some really new and exciting ideas coming up, and when we've spoken to some of the people on the stalls, it's really been good to see how they can be learning from what engineers want and be asking questions about how they can create it. As it's halfway through the day, we are here at the cake stand because the food isn't bad either. So if you'll excuse me, I'm going to have a cake and I'm going to have a look what's going on now.
So we are part of the Digital Impact and Inclusion team, and we're showcasing all of the different propositions that are part of that. So that includes the Academy websites, which we do for Lloyds Bank, Bank of Scotland, and we're currently working on Scottish Widows.
The partnership we have with Lloyds is a really important one to Google. You know, we look at the way we work with customers as a two-way thing. Like, we're not just a provider. You know, we are here a partner to help Lloyds pivot and change, and particularly what's happening out in the world at the moment.
Yeah, when you look at a lot of these things we're doing on digital, when you look at the power of machine learning and AI through technology upgrades, I think we're only bound by our imagination. If we want to try stuff, we can try things. But yeah, you can imagine a world where you've got virtual branches that you can actually walk around from your own home.
Hi Vic.
Yeah.
So here you are today at your first Reboot. What are your first impressions?
Absolutely amazing. So I'm loving it for lots of reasons. I've been around some of the teams and seen what they're working on, and just to see the people in action together, collaborating, coming up with brilliant ideas and design, just blowing my mind.
Ready?
Steady, go.
Here at Lloyds Banking Group, there's no such thing as just an apprentice. I'm in a position to say whether our products are fair, ethical and designed to help Britain prosper.
That moment when you realise you're in a team managing over £150 billion in funds.
It isn't all finance all the time. I led a partnership with Macmillan to help our customers access better cancer care.
Everyone knows you can trust Lloyds. I've seen our bold sustainability commitments, and every day I see us following through.
1 minute I'm leaving uni with my sports science degree. The next I'm in a room thinking of ideas to help millions of families during the pandemic.
I work in financial crime, international sanctions, As you can imagine, it's a pretty interesting place to be right now.
1 minute you're reading about the cost of living crisis, and the next you're writing a briefing paper on it.
Off the back of my dissertation on DevOps pipelines, I went into an engineering role, and now I'm rolling it out company-wide.
We all got million subscription nowadays, so my team built a tool that helps 18 million customers manage them in our app.
When it's not developing with React or Redux, it's gaming with the other grads, or the odd night out.
I couldn't be prouder of my outreach work through Lloyds, helping school-age girls and non-binary people get into coding.
My next step, go for an associate director role, either in my team or something new and exciting. How's that for a rotation?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Harris Javid from Lloyds Banking Group, and let me welcome you to Lloyds Careers Live along with my colleague Tasmia. Tonight's Career Live is all about the world of software development, and since Tasmia and I both work in this space for Lloyds Banking Group as apprentices, we're hoping we're well placed to be able to get you all the information you need on this exciting and fast-moving career choice. March is here, the nights are already getting lighter, and in the world of apprenticeships here at Lloyds Banking Group, we've been really busy. Alongside lots of employers during February, we were celebrating National Apprenticeship Week with events in schools and colleges around the country, helping students and parents understand more about apprenticeships and how they could be an important part of your own career journey.
Thanks, Harris. And before we get going this evening, our thanks to presenters Ian and Elaine, who hosted last month's Careers Live, and also to Damon and Amy, who took over the airways during National Apprenticeship Week with their daily download broadcasts. It's so great to see lots of our apprentices out in the community and helping you explore how you can use the subjects you really like studying at school to inform your career choice and developing all those softer but yet essential skills from the Skills Builder framework to get ready for the move from school to work. If you've missed any of those streams during National Apprenticeship Week, all the streams are available on YouTube. We'll pop the link in the chat room on Zoom and comments on YouTube.
Take a look at the headlines in the world of recruitment at the moment, and it seems like the world of tech has absolutely exploded. All the time at home during the pandemic saw us spending more time on Zoom and team calls, more time collaborating virtually, more time streaming. Alongside that, we expected more from our phones, more performance from our 5G data, and all these innovations need creativity and skills to make good things happen. Software development is one of the fastest growing careers out there at the moment. According to our friends at Amazon, 72% of businesses say they have vacancies for workers with advanced digital skills, but only 11% of UK workers have those skills.
And that means there's a shortage with ever more competition for people with tech and software development skills. More than 2/3 of businesses are currently saying that they are finding it challenging to hire digital workers, that they need, and nearly half of the companies are saying it's all down to a shortage of experienced and qualified applicants.
Which raises the big question, what are these skills that these companies need, and how do you go about developing these skills? And that's what we're here to talk about this evening. The world of tech is full of stereotypes, and here are three between myself and Tasmia we want to dig into. The first is that people who work in software development started coding when they were very young. They were writing code almost the same time as they were learning to speak, kind of like little Einsteins of the digital world. So Tasmia, what's your experience of this?
Oh, I definitely did not start coding when I was young. It kind of makes me wish I did, but no, I didn't. And I don't think you need to. Nowadays, within the workplace, you gain all those necessary like coding skills, and it's just a matter of time before you become an Einstein. So you can even start today, and your skills will just flourish with the right mentoring and the development. So for example, I started roughly about 5 years ago with little to none experience in coding. But as the time evolved, I got involved in more projects, brushed up on my skills, and now I'm a full stack senior engineer.
Wow,
so
that's
I've got one
fantastic.
for you. I've got one for you, Harris. The second stereotype is working as a software developer is really dull. This one makes me laugh, actually. It involves sitting in a large room with the lights turned down and lots of people staring 4 hours on end, working on lines and lines of code. It's a bit boring and not a place where people interact with each other much. Harris, what do you reckon on this one?
I think you missed the bit about where you find hackers in the corner just coding away with lines of code, but it's nothing like that at all. I would hate it if it was, I'm a chatterbox, I don't stop talking. Usually it's work related, but approximately only 50% of my time is spent coding, and even that is spent problem solving with others, working alongside others, trying to break a problem down to get to the root of it. And I think that's a really important skill as well as a software developer, being able to speak to individuals with different level of experience, being able to make something technical, non-technical, because you'll be involved in speaking to the business and trying to understand their requirements, and you'll be speaking to stakeholders as well as quality engineering teams.
Thanks, Harris. It's really good to hear your views because I never really imagined it to be like in those films, you know, how you watch it in the films, and it's definitely much more fun interacting with other team members. So
Yeah.
I've got last one for you.
Yeah, definitely. So last one for you, Tasmia. It's a good one. People who work in tech are mostly men from similar backgrounds. So if you're a woman or you come from a more diverse background, you'll stand out and find it really hard to fit in. Tasmia, I think you've traveled the world as a result of your career in tech. So it doesn't sound like being a woman in tech held you back at all.
Yeah, absolutely not. If anything, I've been given the opportunity to share my experience and also kind of like help empower young, talented individuals within the workplace and outside of work. So I'm also like within the workplace, I'm also part of a Women Connect Tech community, which helps aspiring women to take the step into tech from various backgrounds. I also take part as an apprenticeship ambassador at Lloyds and with my university, which is Manchester Metropolitan University, representing and talking to the new generation about future careers at events. Furthermore, last June, I was chosen from 40 applications to travel to Toronto, Canada, to meet potential employers and help them establish and trial a similar kind of approach to apprenticeships, which is known as like a work integrated learning program. If anything, I was the only Asian woman from a diverse background in the group.
Wow, sounds like you're getting involved in everything.
Yeah, it was quite busy. So Harris, I want to sneak in one more if I can, to get your take on this. Tech is really complex, and you really have to go directly to university from college to study programming, and that's the only way to get into this industry. Now we know that apprenticeships operate at different levels, and lots of colleagues at Lloyds start off in software development at a professional level 4 and maybe afterwards go on and do a degree. So how do you weigh up getting the qualifications and getting into industry experience? Sounds like you need a bit of both.
Yeah, you definitely need a bit of both. And I think that's something very unique to apprenticeships. And one of the biggest benefits is, first of all, there's no loan. So you're already a huge step ahead of other people. You don't have to spend any student loan on getting to university. Plus, you'll have around 4 years experience when you come out doing a degree apprenticeship alongside your work, so you're highly employable. Whereas somebody who went directly to university, they've just spent 3 years working theoretically. They haven't had industry experience, and industry is very different to what they teach at university, as you probably know, Tasmia. So yeah, I think the usual route of going from college then going to university is not the only way now, especially with level 4 apprenticeships. If formal learning at university isn't your style, there's alternatives, and they're really great alternatives that will get you the skills you need to succeed.
Yeah, thank you for that, Harris. And as you mentioned, like it's really the incomparable practical experience that you get with an apprenticeship, which is definitely worth it. And it does overweigh the traditional route of going to university.
Yeah, so as you guys can see, there are lots of myths out there, and we just covered 4 of them. If we had more time, we could probably create about 400 just around this sector. What's more helpful and important is that when you're at school or college, as you're likely to be right now, is we make sure you have real information as to how to make it in software development and tech. And that's what this evening's all about. So coming up in tonight's stream this evening, we'll be exploring what do we really mean by software development? And do you really need to spend all your time in the dark writing lines and lines of code? And if you didn't choose computing as part of your GCSE or equivalent if you're in Scotland, does that mean that the world of tech is closed off to you? What are your actual options? And coming up in a moment to help us understand this is Sean from Firebrand, which is one of the leading providers of apprenticeship training in tech professions in UK. So they know more than a thing or two about how to take somebody who knows nothing to becoming a brilliant full stack developer.
So if you choose when you leave school to go off to university to study computer science, then you've got like maybe 3 or 4 years of only theoretical knowledge. But if you're 14, but you're between 14 and 18, you have more than just the option of going to uni in order to get a career in tech. So this evening, we'll be introducing you to Iona and Neil, who are apprentices for Lloyds Banking Group, and they'll be talking us through their learning journey, as well as how they got onto an apprenticeship program. So we want to dig into that learning journey to understand how do you go from zero to becoming that software development hero and what's really involved.
And also during National Apprenticeship Week, we also celebrate T-level Thursdays for the first time. T-levels are studied at the same time as you traditionally study for your A-levels or BTEC, and they're currently only available to study in England. They're a new technical qualification you study that can lead into an apprenticeship or give you the UCAS points you need to get into the university you want. But being a vocational qualification, you specialize in one area. For example, the digital T-level, and you do lots of work experience, up to 45 days of hands-on work experience. So at the end, when you leave, you have both the knowledge and the evidence to employers that you can apply the knowledge in the real world. They're new, and if you're joining us currently in year 9 or 10, then listen carefully, because this could be for you once your GCSEs are over. And AJ will be here to tell us all about that. We have a lot going on, so Tasmia, shall we get started?
Yeah, and I can see the chat is being filled with loads of questions. So if you have any questions on your mind this evening, then our role here is to help you get those answered. We have Ian from our talent team manning the chats this evening, so you can post any questions, as you can already see, either in the Zoom chat if you're joining us on Zoom, or in the comments if you're joining us on YouTube, and we'll do our best to answer everything. So let's check that function out now and find out where is everyone joining us from this evening. Put your location in the chat or comments. So we've got East London. I'm also based in East London, so that's a good one. First one. London, yep. South Gloucestershire, yeah. Oh, someone's working.
Manchester.
Oh, you've got Manchester here.
Yeah, I'm happy now.
Oh, wow, that's good. We've even got someone from Uganda. That's really, wow, great.
Yeah.
Got
So
people from all over. Yeah.
I feel like we need to find out more about everyone who's joining us for this evening. So let's do a simple poll. In our first poll, we're asking you, what stage of education are you currently in? So this way we have an idea and can shape everything we tell you this evening. So as you can see, the options are GCSEs, A-levels, university, apprenticeships, full-time employment, and anything else. So let's see how we're doing in terms of the responses. Okay, so we got 37 people, 37% of people doing A-levels. Oh, it shifted. Okay, so majority A-levels, then GCSEs, then university. But surprisingly, we've got some people in full-time employment as well, which is really great.
Cool. And we're curious to see, to know how much you already know about careers in tech. So on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest, how confidently do you understand the opportunities ahead for careers in software development? So let's just see how we're doing. So that's how confidently do you understand the opportunities ahead for careers in software development? So yeah, we've got 3 years, so quite a few people know what they're doing. which is still good, because then you can also hear about other options and, diverge quickly if you need to. But that's good. Yeah, it's very.
My goal is to get those 5 people from least confident to at least number 3 by the end of this call. Excellent. A quick word on accessibility. If you need closed caption support for this evening, then we made them available in Zoom. You just need to enable it. And on YouTube, auto subtitling is already enabled, so it should take care of it for you. If you need to take a break and miss anything, then the whole of tonight's live stream is available for replay on YouTube as soon as our show closes this evening at 7 p.m. So don't worry if you miss a bit. We mentioned our colleague Ian is in the background to answer your questions. And we also have Gareth, who is our event producer in the background, who makes all the tech work for us. Even us software engineers need some help sometimes.
So our first guest this evening is Sean Rafter from Firebrand, who partner with Lloyds Banking Group to deliver apprenticeship training for a range of programs in tech, from software development to DevOps, quality assurance, cybersecurity, and the list goes on and on. So Sean, I wonder if you can start us off by giving a whistle-stop tour of the Level 4 Software Development Apprenticeship. Students will be keen to hear how long this type of apprenticeship program lasts and what the key learns and milestones are through the journey.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. So this is Firebrand's Software Developer Apprenticeship. Employers are able to call their roles whatever they choose. So being called a software engineer within the banking group fits better within the hierarchy of the roles within Lloyds Bank. So if you do see software engineer and software developer, a software engineer is the Lloyds role, the software developer is the apprenticeship standard. And like Tasmia says, it's an 18-month program, and you can see clearly it starts in year 1. And the most important things on this slide, and this slide is quite busy, are the houses and the cogs. And so the houses are the courses that you're going to come on with Firebrand. And the way that Firebrand work, and one of the central reasons is why we have the highest distinction rate within the kind of digital sector within apprenticeships is through our residential delivery model. And so we specialize in distraction-free training. So you come and stay with us, you stay in a Premier Inn style hotel, which is right next to our training facility. You roll out of bed, roll into our restaurant, have your breakfast, you roll into our training facility, and we will drown you in Coca-Cola and Fanta and water and tangerines and sweets, all the things that you need to keep your brain functioning in exactly the place that it needs to. And the reason that we've kind of stuck with that model for the last 22 years is because distraction-free training gets the biggest bang for the buck. We teach you the most amount of stuff in the shortest period of time, and you retain the most amount of it because you have no distractions. You don't have to worry about feeding yourself, where you're going to sleep, etc., etc., etc. We really do take care of all of it for you. So if you were to come on our software developer apprenticeship, the first course that you would come on would be in month 3. It'd be 3 days in length, and it's our software development fundamentals course. And we start off clearly really basically. So we'll look at what the software development life cycle is. So if we're going to develop some software, well, where do we start? Do we ask people what they want to begin with, or do we develop something and show it to them? How do we start that process off? So we cover off the software development life cycle. We'll look at business cases as well. So most businesses don't just wantonly invest money with no output or no gain from it. They'll need a business case to define, why do we need to invest this money? What benefits are we going to get? When are we likely to see a benefit once we've developed this piece of software, for instance? We'll look at some of the architecture that software development and software engineering requires, and link that to the architecture that was within your own organizations as well. We'll look at testing, because clearly, and I probably don't need to teach you this, but we need to test our software, make sure it functions in the way that we expect it to function, because then we're in a place to deploy it, actually start to use it within anger. So that first course very much bring everybody up to the same level in terms of those basic concepts around software development. The next most important thing are the cogs. And so apprenticeships are really cool, and I would always say apprenticeships are really cool. But the main reason apprenticeships are really cool is because they're UK organisational view on what a software developer should do. So it's not a university's view on what a software developer do. It's a collection of organizations, Fujitsu, Lloyds Banking Group, DEFRA, lots of UK organizations have come together and decided and defined what a software developer apprenticeship should look like. And so one of the things that I kind of reflected on after I left university was that university, whilst it taught me a lot of stuff, it didn't really prepare me for the world of work. And you can't say that about apprenticeships because you're in the world of work. So you're actively being prepared for the world of work as you're going through the apprenticeship, which is really cool. So look at these apprenticeships as UK organizations' view on what a software dev should do, or a DevOps, or a cybersecurity a technologist. It's an organizational view rather than a university view. And actually, the reality is that's much more applicable for the world of work. And one of the key things about an apprenticeship is you've got to be able to prove that you can develop software securely, you can deploy code to the infrastructure or to the architecture. You've got to be able to prove you can do these things. And one of the ways you prove you can do these things is by building a portfolio of evidence. So effectively, you'll write Word documents of a couple of thousand words, and clearly Firebrand and Lloyds will support you doing that, so don't get worried about that. You'll write documents that shows that you prove that you understand some of the concepts around software development, or you can actually prove that you've actually started to do some software development. And that's where these cogs come in. And this is one of the elements that Firebrand implement that not a lot of other training providers do. So we'll effectively say to you, if you want to follow our pathway, if you write about this topic and write specifically about A, B, and C, you'll have met all that you need to meet for that specific part of the portfolio. So you can see the first cog there is understand the organization and their role in business. So it's really, where do you sit as a software engineer within the group? Are you within a specific team, within a specific division? What role do you play in that wider team? So the more you understand about where you are and where you fit, the more effective generally you can be in kind of delivering value-added work. So that's the first cog. The second house is really cool in terms of it's like an elective, almost like a degree where you get to choose specialisms. And so in the month 5, there'll be a 4-day course, and it'll be guided. It won't necessarily be entirely your choice. It'll be partly your choice and your employer's choice. There's no point in you learning a language that the entire group doesn't use. So there's going to be a bit of a quid pro quo in terms of what you want in terms of your own development and what your department or your division wants in terms of your development. But there's 4 different courses, and the 4 different courses are different languages. So we've got a Java course, a C# course, a Python advanced course, and an HTML5 course with Java and CSS as well. So depending on where you're working, what type of language you're going to be using within your role might dictate to a larger extent which one of those electives you're going to choose. And the types of content that you would expect to see in those courses around the syntax. So how does Python or Java or C#, how does it make things happen? What words do I have to use in order for it to do things? We'll look at variables, classes, data types, loops, arrays, APIs, which is a really important facet of grabbing data from databases, or not necessarily databases, wherever data may reside. Object-orientated programming. If you were to go on to the Python elective, you might have slightly more content around automation, maybe more content around libraries that Python have. So you get the choice in terms of those electives in month 4. And then I'm just going to move the little, if I can, the little people out of the way. Then we get the second cog. So you'll have a bit of a portfolio of evidence around development and coding. So what kind of development methodologies are you looking for? What kind of examples of coding can you bring into your portfolio evidence? So you're actually showing the assessor, here's what I've done in terms of a coding language and development within my role. The third course is Database Essentials. So that is month 7. It's a 3-day course. I think it's really difficult as a software developer to not have any interaction with a database whatsoever. At some stage throughout the software development lifecycle, or the coding or the development, you're going to be calling data, maybe reading or writing data, probably through a database. So it's really important to understand, where does our data reside? Are there big differences in the types of data we're looking to use? So two big differences of data is structured data and unstructured data. Structured data being an easy example would be a banking transaction. Unstructured data, an easy example would be the recording of this session would be an unstructured video file. And there's lots and lots of these types of data that are swimming around, and we're constantly trying to make the best use of the data that we're recording. So we'll look at the key language in and around databases as well, which is SQL, structured query language. There are slightly different languages when we're looking into unstructured data. We'll look at how databases are created as well. So how do we take raw data? How do we start to build it into tables if that's what is required from relational data? How can we start to manipulate and join and use that data effectively? The next cog is testing and debugging. So we'll drive you to write a bit of a portfolio of evidence about how you would approach testing and debugging to make sure that you're implementing fit for purpose code. The fourth and final course is month 9. It's 2 days in length, and it's Cyber Secure Coder. So you can be the most effective software developer in the entire world, but if you're developing insecure code, the chances of it being deployed and operate effectively are pretty low. Clearly, particularly in a banking organization, we wanted to be developing really secure code because the infrastructure and the amount of money that's going through Lloyds Banking Group needs to be protected. The network needs to be protected significantly. So that's where we'll bring in cyber secure coding in terms of how do we deploy secure code rather than just deploying code. Then we'll have a final piece of portfolio evidence, which is around deployment and maintenance. So we're following broadly the software development life cycles. We're building up in the complexity and sequentially as we go. So we'll look at how we deploy and then how we maintain software as well, which is potentially moving slightly onto more DevOps roles, which is a cool facet of software development, I think. Then there is a gap. So there's a gap roughly between month 10 and month 16. And that's just to make sure that all of the portfolio submissions are fit for purpose. And you and Firebrand will collectively prepare you for the endpoint assessment process. And so the endpoint assessment process is 2 specific ways of being tested. So you'll be tested by an independent assessment organization. It's usually the British Computer Society, and that independent assessment organization, completely independent to Lloyds, completely independent to Firebrand. And the cool thing about that is it maintains the quality and the integrity of the qualification, which is a really, really good thing. Once you get to kind of month 15, and we have had lots and lots of conversations with you in terms of, are you ready for these assessment methods? Are you ready for that endpoint assessment process? Is your portfolio up to scratch? And will have reviewed it alongside your employer as well to make sure it's fit for purpose. Then we put you through what is called the gateway. And that is really just signifying you moving from the practical period of coming and learning and developing a portfolio of evidence to moving to the assessment period. So the assessment period is usually around 3 months, usually between months 15 and 18. But by the same token, lots of people have lots of different journeys. Things happen in life. And so we'll work with you to make sure you achieve in a timely fashion, but we appreciate and Lloyds appreciate that certain things happen in life and certain things can stop you achieving in the time you would like to achieve. And the final thing I'll say is, when I was in industry, well, I suppose I still am in industry, and I was a manager of large teams, and I was constantly recruiting people. And Tasmir mentioned the difficulty of recruiting software engineers or software developers. There are certain roles out there in the UK and globally that are really difficult to recruit. And so you end up having to do huge recruitment drives. And as a manager, if I'm looking through 100 CVs, I'm looking for a really quick way to put people through to interview. So if someone has got X qualification, they'll go straight to interview. And the thing is with the apprenticeships is, particularly for things like software development, maybe data analytics, there isn't a qualification that I would look for in a CV or an application form. However, the apprenticeship is that qualification. So it isn't the same for all apprenticeships, but I think particularly for software dev and for certain other of the digital apprenticeships, there are no marquee courses or qualifications out there that are internationally and globally recognized in that field. So the apprenticeship actually fills that gap. So when people start to see you having the apprenticeship qualification, they will know The level of effort and the complexity and the courses and the content are built into that, and they'll know that that qualification is a very, very well sought after qualification. And as usual, I probably have spoken for too long, so I'll shut up and hand back to Tasmia.
Thank you very much, Sean. Really appreciate that. I can attest to the endless amount of Coke and coffees at Y Boston for myself. So I'm going to introduce to you two of our current apprentices, Neil and Iona, to explore what the learning journey is in more detail, how difficult it is to learn, and what are the jobs really like, and what are some of the unexpected opportunities that getting skilled up in this space opens up. So Tasmia, I'm going to need your help on this. Got a few questions. So what were you doing before you started your apprenticeship? Neil or Iona?
Okay, me. I was a regional business manager for Subway's development office in London. I had a team of 9 consultants under me. We were responsible for all the profitability and audits and everything across 250 odd stores across London. So it was pretty full on and a pretty big switch.
Myself, I was working in Scottish Widows. I was in the operational side of things, so actually helping customers deal with queries either on the phone or any other form of media that they got in contact with us. That's where I started.
Oh wow, amazing.
Oh, nice. So I'm just gonna go with Neil on this one. So what got you interested in software development?
I've always been interested in computers, and when COVID struck, that was really the kind of the spark that ignited for me to chase and do something I enjoyed doing rather than a career that had been set in motion years ago, which is what I was doing before. And I've always loved computers, and I thought that is definitely the industry to be in for now and for the future.
Cool, thank you. Iona, this one's for you. I always struggle with this myself, so I want to hear how you challenged it. So how do you tell your family or describe to them what your job is?
So my dad gets it. He's an engineer. He's a mechanical engineer. But my mum and maybe my gran, you just work with computers. That's the the best and most simplest way to describe it to them. But maybe to friends, I would probably makes you sound more interesting when you talk about the social network, like the films, and just say, yeah, I do stuff like that. Yeah, that's how I describe it.
It sounds like a good technique.
Yeah. And Neil, tell us what it's like. Is it exciting, boring? Are any 2 days like the same?
No, so I'm doing a lot of no, any 2 days are not the same. No, not that it's exciting. No, it's very exciting. For me, it's been very different since the day I started. What I learned 6 months ago is absolutely so different to what I'm doing now. Some days are quite the same. If I've got a big module that I need to study, it can be quite a lot of self-study or even guided study. It can be fairly, you are studying, of course. However, once it comes to actually getting involved and getting on projects, absolutely not. Completely different every single day, and it's fascinating.
Oh, brilliant. So linked to that, Iona, what kind of projects have you been working on since you've been in the bank?
What kind of projects? So I've been working with JavaScript, Node. Tell me if that's too much technical detail, I can bring it back a bit. But yeah, that's mainly what I've been working on. And the kind of architecture we've been working on is microservices. So if anybody knows about that or has a look into it, it's actually quite interesting how that all works in a big corporate company and how you share data or how you share APIs and connect with each other, and how that all works is really good. Yeah, that's where I've been working.
Thank you.
Oh, and Neil, what kind of skills help you thrive in this kind of role?
Definitely teamwork. That's something that it didn't surprise me, but there was a lot more of it than I expected. As you mentioned earlier, the view of a software engineer can be quite isolated, and that's absolutely not, it couldn't be further from the truth. The desire to learn is absolutely a skill you must have for this. It's going to be tough. You've got to have that inquisitive mind to want to solve a problem, and openness. It's like I said, things will break if you're trying to code something when they won't work, and it's being able to step up to a colleague and say, hey, I need help with this, can you help, rather than banging your head on a keyboard for 3 days is vital.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Final question for you, Iona. How do you feel looking back on the choices you made?
Oh, reflection. I would definitely say I made the right choice. I made the best choice for me. Looking back, so I've been kind of in this for about 4 years now and completed the apprenticeship within that. And looking back on what I was doing before, you mentioned, what was the job I was doing. I'm so glad to be on the other side and being able to create software for colleagues and customers that is easier to use for them. It's not annoying. Like, I'm sure we've all been on a website or something that hasn't worked the right way, or you get really frustrated about that. So it's been really, really good to be on this side and actually build it myself, problem solve as well. So you've got the front end, where you're looking at an application, but also in the back end, how are you going to solve this problem? I'm definitely not bored. So I'm really, really glad that I made that choice to jump into a new career.
That's great to hear that.
Thank you so much, Neil and Iona. It's lovely been hearing your experiences. So thank you guys so much. So when you're thinking of your future career, there is so much to consider, as you can tell. So what you're going to do, but also who you're going to work for, or indeed whether you'd like to work for yourself. Got a bit of entrepreneurs out there. So when you're looking for an apprenticeship, you also have to decide what kind of company will suit you. Now, of course, we would love for you to join us, as we believe Lloyds Banking Group is a special company, and that's why we will choose to work here. So one way of narrowing down the field is to think about a company's broader purpose and values. This can often give you clues as to what a company and the people you'll be working with really care about. So here at Lloyds Banking Group, we look after the finances of almost a third of everyone who lives here in the UK. That's approximately 30 million. It's a responsibility to help Britain prosper that is in our DNA, and we take that incredibly seriously in our everyday work. And here's a quick glimpse of just one of the activities our apprentices get involved in fostering the skills and talents of future leaders who are currently still in school.
Hi, I'm Mark from Lloyds. I work in the People and Places part of the business. It's great to welcome the Future Leaders students here today at Old Broad Street in London.
I really enjoyed my trip to the Lloyds Tower today because we got to see a lot of different colleagues who worked here, a lot of different roles that they had.
It's made me feel confident speaking to new employees.
They've had a fantastic session. We talk about skills, how, the CV part.
It gave me an insight on how to come across when it comes to interviews. As before, I didn't really know how to really present myself when it came to interviews.
We also learned how to sort of identify any key skills that we may have.
This experience has been very eye-opening for me, as I've been able to know my strengths and weaknesses.
It made me more mindful of the values which I have as an individual. So they were talking about a personal brand, and it really makes me more confident in myself.
At Future Leaders, we are passionate about working with young people from underrepresented backgrounds, closing the opportunity gap and giving them experiences that help them secure their post-18 pathways. Today at Lloyds Bank was exactly about that, where they got to meet with a range of professionals, develop their skills, their personal brand, and their growth mindset to ensure that they are prepared for their next steps.
Future Leaders is a great organisation. It's great to work with them, and we look forward to further collaborations with Future Leaders and Lloyds Bank.
Time now to turn the tables on you. You've all been listening really carefully and learning all about apprenticeships. So we're going to challenge our guests and our apprentices on some of their knowledge of how apprenticeships work. And you can play along with this at home as well. If you want to play at home, you'll need a phone or some kind of device that can access Kahoot that our friends at Amazing Apprenticeships have created. Coming up on the screen now is a QR code for Kahoot. Scan that and join in the game, or go to kahoot.it, and when asked to type in the game PIN code, you need to add the PIN you see on the screen. If you're joining us tonight on YouTube, just remember we're a few seconds behind live when playing the game, and if you're watching us on catch up, then this is just for fun. This game is all about testing your knowledge of apprenticeships, so let's see how all our guests fare as they compete against you this evening. Shall we get started? Good luck, guys. This is a friendly competition. Shall we get started? Good luck, guys. This is a friendly competition. Shall we get started? Good luck, guys.
That's
this
a
is
tricky
a
one.
Competition.
Wow.
It is. Shall we get started? I'm not sure what I would go for. Good luck, guys.
That's
this
a
is
tricky
a
one.
Competition.
Wow.
It is.
Oh, 600 plus.
I'm not sure what I would go for. Good luck, guys.
That's
this
a
is
tricky
a
one.
Competition.
Wow.
It is.
Oh, 600 plus.
I'm not sure what I would go for. Good luck, guys.
That's
this
a
is
tricky
a
one.
Competition.
Wow.
It is.
Oh, 600 plus.
I'm not sure what I would go for. Good luck, guys.
That's
this
a
is
tricky
a
one.
Competition.
Wow.
It is.
Oh, 600 plus.
I'm not sure what I would go for. Okay, I think the echo might have stopped finally. So how many people participated in apprenticeships in 2021 to 2022? They're all such big numbers, aren't they, Tasmia?
Oh, I'm not really good at quizzes now. I've just realized I'm terrible.
I'm going to go for
Should be really good.
600,000.
Should be really good because it's about apprenticeships, but no. Oh,
Let's see what the answer was.
oh, Danielle is doing really good.
Yeah. Think I might know this one. So how many apprentices continue in full-time employment or further training after their apprenticeship?
I think I might know this one as well.
Yeah.
I have a really good feeling.
I thought 90%. Seems about right. Everyone I know, once they're in apprenticeship, they always continue into full-time employment.
Oh,
Wow,
the British Army is the biggest employer of apprentices in the UK. Wow. How many different apprenticeships do they offer? Wow. Didn't know that.
Neither.
Probably, I was about to say it. Yeah, I don't. 40 plus.
Wow. Ooh, Mohammed's in the lead now. Not by a lot though. Does this include out of hours learning and revising?
And all the off-the-job training.
Yeah.
That can only be done in normal working hours according to the rules.
Ah, yes.
Neil's in the lead now. Nice. So what's the shortest apprenticeship you can do? I don't know why you'd want to do a short one. I liked them so much. I did one for 18 months and now I'm doing one for 4 years.
You're not crazy there yourself, Harris. I've done the degree and now I'm on the master, so I'm like super crazy right now.
Yeah. 12, okay. We could have taken the easy route, I guess.
Sure, good.
I suppose I should be, shouldn't I?
Sean will know this one.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Oh, the lovely off-the-job learning. Oh, only 4 people got that right. Wow.
What is the minimum age you must do an apprenticeship? One thing I think to make clear is that there is no maximum age, and I think that's one of my favorite things about apprenticeships, that you could be of any age, any background, and you can still go ahead and do it.
Yeah, I still think there's a stigma around, like, whenever you say apprenticeships, people are like, oh, but you're not 16. And I was like, well, you don't have to be.
Yeah, exactly. Neil, Sean, they're catching up to you.
I'm cool with it.
Oh, maximum. Oops.
Everyone should get this one right. I didn't know that this was the next question, I promise. How many different industries offer apprenticeships? It grows by every day, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah, now there's just so many, like, from tech to, there's the NHS as well that offer apprenticeships now. So it's quite a lot.
Ian's raised a good point in the chat.
I'm just competitive. I don't care what it is.
Cool, so we've got Josh in 3rd place and Neil in 2nd. And the winner is, drum roll. Oh, no surprises.
We should have banned Sean.
Is there a prize? Is there a prize?
The prize is you have a lot of knowledge about apprenticeships, so that's a very good prize.
Oh, well.
Oh, great. That was a really good, it was really interesting to see how many people know about apprenticeships and the information you guys have as well. So if you're in year 9 or year 10, you've probably got your head filled with, like, thinking about GCSEs, because they are the biggest thing ahead of you, and that's perfectly understandable. So when I was finishing my GCSEs, the only choices were A-levels. That's it. Where it was most expected that I'd go off to university or go to, like, a further education, college, and study a BTEC as a more vocational qualification. So at the start of tonight's show, we mentioned T-levels as the new kid on the block. And I'm really pleased that we have AJ, who has joined us to tell us more about what a T-level is, how it works, and why she chose to take this brand new and untested qualification rather than just follow the crowd into a traditional A-levels. So welcome, AJ.
Hello, I'm so sorry if it's a bit loud where I am. I'm in a cafe now.
No worries, it's okay. So AJ, you were one of the first T-level students just as the qualification was in its infancy. So what made you take that leap of faith? What made you want to trust T-levels?
I think it was mainly my teachers who had so much faith in it. But when I was doing my own research on the T-levels, I saw that it was kind of like a mini degree apprenticeship. It gave me 8% classwork and then 20% work placement. And I thought it was very interesting. And the balance between working and learning was like a good option for me.
That's really great. Yeah. And so what did your parents think and how did they help you with your decision?
My parents were not very pleased because it was very new at the time. And so what I did, the first 4 months I did do A-levels because I wanted to like follow what my dad was telling me. But my mum was encouraging me to do something that I really like had so much faith in. So I decided to go back to my school and complete the T-levels, and I don't regret it. And now both my parents are fully supportive and would recommend it to everyone.
It's always nice to have one parent, have parents argue with it themselves as well, like especially if one's got a different view as well. So that's quite good that they're both on your side now. So, so what got you interested into the digital route and software development particularly?
My grandma was one person who got me into it because she did like a digital route when she was growing up. And I think that COVID especially made me realize that the world is changing to a more fast-paced digital route. And so I wanted to be at the forefront of it and like understand what was going on around me. And I think that coding and computer science is very fun, as I did it in year 9 for GCSE.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. And just quickly, if you can, please, when we know we're running short on time. So can you tell us about your industry placement with us at Lloyds Banking Group? What was it like? Well, was it anything that you expected?
The first initial thoughts was that it's a finance company, and so they don't like, why am I coming here to do tech? But when I got there, I was there for 2 months in summer, and it just helped me experience life working like full time. I had a 9 to 5. I got to shadow various different departments in Lloyds Bank, and I think that it made me understand what they did on a wider spectrum and not just like the commercial banks that you see on the street when you hear of Lloyds Bank. So I've got a better understanding of Lloyds Banking Group now.
Yeah, thank you so much, AJ. Thank you for sharing your experience and for being with us here this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, AJ. So now we've got you all excited about your potential new careers as software developers. You'll probably have some questions about how we at Lloyds Banking Group recruit people from the outside into these roles and what the application and assessment process is like. And here to tell us is our colleague, John Banks. Welcome, John.
So yeah, hi folks, I'm John and I'm an Apprenticeships Manager at Lloyds Banking Group. So thanks so much for joining us today. I hope you've had an interesting time so far at the event. And yeah, I often get asked about the roles that we offer in the software and technology engineering space. So I'll just tell you a little bit about them and then I'll let you know what the application process looks like. So typically we recruit into level 3 and level 4 apprenticeship roles, which include things like IT solutions technician, software engineer, quality engineer, and DevOps engineering roles. And the programs themselves are around 18 months in duration, and you'll learn about software development, methodologies, programming, and software testing. And then as well as that, you'll get elements of design, development, deployment, and maintenance. So as I say, the program itself will take you around 18 months to achieve. However, all of our apprenticeship roles are permanent positions. So after you complete your apprenticeship, you're a full-time colleague in a technology engineering role at Lloyds Banking Group, and you'll then have the opportunity to potentially develop even further by undertaking a degree or even a master's apprenticeship in technology engineering. So in terms of joining the group, again, I'm often asked about the application and assessment process and what that looks like. So generally, applicants could be asked for A-levels plus maths and English GCSEs on application. But at Lloyds Banking Group, we recruit based on motivation and strengths. So we don't ask for upfront qualifications. And if you don't have your English and maths, for example, at GCSE level, we support you to study them from an equivalent, an equivalent of GCSEs is something called functional skills, which sits alongside your apprenticeship programme. So yes, when you get to lloydsbankinggrouptalent.com, if you're looking a bit more detail, you can see the application process right here. So first stage is everybody will do an application online. Second stage is then an interview, so it'll either be face-to-face, telephone, or a video interview. And that's the final stage for any level 2 and level 3 applications. And if you're successful at that point, we'll make you a job offer. And then for level 4 and above, we'll invite you to one final stage, which is an assessment centre. So it's a full-on day, this one, although we do get good feedback about how interactive and surprisingly how fun people find it. So you'll get another interview style exercise there. There'll be a series of strengths-based exercises as well, and some virtual challenges. And if you're successful at the end of your assessment centre, again, we'll make you an offer to join the apprenticeship. We typically run 2 campaigns through each year. So an autumn campaign for starts in March, and then a spring campaign for starts in September. And again, I'd encourage you to visit lloydsbankinggrouptalent.com, because you can find a little icon there that's called register your interest. And what that'll do is that'll put you into our kind of keep warm list, and you'll receive an email update as and when the campaigns are about to launch. So last tip, I guess, from me before I leave you to it is just remember that at the group, what we're looking for is motivation and strength. That's effectively how we recruit people. It's not based on their experience. So if you don't consider yourself to be a pure software engineer or technologist, don't be panicking. We buy great people, essentially. So all that's left for me to say at this point is I wish you all the very best of luck with your future career, whatever path it might take. And thanks so much for listening today.
Thank you so much to John. And definitely the assessment centre is definitely fun. So I know it's a long day, but it's definitely fun and worth it at the end. So Harris, I can't believe it. We only have a few minutes left. How time has flown by. Before we go, let's have a few more quick polls. So we've got one more poll. On a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the most confident, how well do you understand careers in software development?
Okay, that's good. We've seen a rise. Nobody's
Kind of
least
cool.
confident
This
as
a
of
bit.
yet.
Oh, least confident we have.
We've got one. So for the people that are least confident or not very confident, make sure you pop your questions in the chat so we can make you more confident in understanding what's actually involved.
Yeah, definitely. And it's really interesting to see that a lot of people are quite moderately confident and confident. So that's quite good and reassures us that we've kind of done some of our what we wanted to do. But yeah, and so it's really interesting to see the responses and how everyone is feeling. So thank you.
So we don't have long left on tonight's stream, but we don't want to leave you tonight without providing you with some really useful websites and resources to help you on your journey. There's a lot of info here, so you can, slides are coming up. Give me a sec. Cool, they're up now. There's a lot of info there, so you can hold up your phone and scan the QR code or download the links in the chat. I'll give you a second to do that before we move on. Cool, Garrett's just put it into the chat as well. Can we move to the next slide? And then up first is the Lloyds Banking Group talent website. And this is a treasure trove of information all about the roles in Lloyds, apprenticeships and graduate schemes and current vacancies is the holy grail of everything. There's also the Association for Apprentices and Amazing Apprenticeships. Both of these websites give you a lot of insight around apprenticeships and how to find them whatever employer or career sector you're thinking of. Lastly, if you've missed any of our previous Lloyds live sessions or would like to rewind tonight's event for anything you might have missed, or you still got some questions, you can catch the replay of this and all of the sessions on our Lloyds Banking Group Careers YouTube channel. You can book your space right now and we'll send you a reminder closer to the time.
Harris, it's been a great evening and great hearing from all of our guests. We are now officially handing over the baton for our session in April. It's always the first Tuesday of the month. And for April, that's Tuesday, the 4th of April, where we'll be exploring careers in HR and people. So do join us next month as we blow this whole profession apart and try to break down in simple terms what all these different jobs mean and how to secure them through apprenticeships.
And if you missed any of our past Career Live events, including cybersecurity, technology engineering, the list goes on, you can replay them all again when you want on our YouTube channel. The list is just getting longer and longer. And also on our YouTube channel, we've got our skill builder sessions, hints and tips from us on how to build the other essential skills such as listening, speaking, problem solving, all the skills you need to succeed, and employers really like to know about.
But as we arrive at 7, it's time for both of us to say goodbye for now. From all of us here at Lloyds Banking Group, we wish you the very best and we wish you every success wherever your career takes you. We'll hopefully see you next month for another Careers Live.
What does success mean to us?
Success is making a difference.
For our customers and our communities.
Success is empowering people from the start.
Building their confidence.
Giving them tools to start their careers.
Success is putting our people first.
It's knowing when to listen.
And making the time to talk.
Success is supporting causes we care about.
It's getting involved.
All hands on deck.
Success is making banking better.
It's engineering a fairer future.
Making progress and leaving no one behind.
Whatever shape it takes.
Success starts with us.